thank you for tuning in to the second episode of Little Fanny Speaks. I'm Jessica Stewart, social media liaison, and I have with me.
Mrs. Jolene Payton, the Executive Director of Little Fanny's Heavenly Housing.
Thank you for watching. Are you ready to get into our topics today?
Yes.
Okay, so today we'll be talking about our mission for Little Fanny's Heavenly Housing. And can you tell me about the mission?
Well, the mission is to have a impact on those that's faced with homelessness, a positive impact.
Okay. And can you tell me what got you started? Like, what was the first thing that you did in relation to the homeless?
Well, the very first time that I really experienced dealing with the homeless, I went to a shelter, and I actually went with my nephew, and it was on a holiday, and he asked me would I go with him, and I told him yes. So he picked me up and we went, and what we did was we provided food, fixed the food and prepared the food and served those that was living in a homeless shelter. And so it just had a good feel, not because they were homeless, but making an impact and helping them, you know. So that was my very first experience at a shelter, and the first time that I experienced an outreach, a street outreach with the homeless, was with a couple that I was going to church with, and they every other month they would go out into Washington Park and feed the homeless. So I went, and Washington Park was not far from where I lived.
Right.
And so I went out there with them, and just to see how many people lived in Washington Park was amazing to me, because it was like walking distance from where I lived. And they set the food up in the car, and it was like a whole homeless community. They went out and they got their friends. People started coming with with shopping carts. They was on bicycles. They was walking with all their belongings to get something to eat. And that it really was an all moment to me, because I never would have even thought that many people were living in the park.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, and I could imagine, because that neighborhood is looked at as a good neighborhood.
Yes.
And you would never imagine there's that many
right
homeless people living inside the park that's
right.
very close
right.
in proximity to your home.
Right, because they weren't visible. You know
right.
what I mean? I walked through Washington Park, but they was never visible to me like that. You know, so that was the street outreach portion of why I wanted to do what I was.
So you would say that's what like sparked it for you.
Yes.
Like you needed to do more.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I think it's so important to talk about these things, because like we're based in Chicago and the surrounding suburban areas, and even today it's 19 degrees.
Yes. Yes.
Going into the week, we're expecting some negatives, and we are so blessed to be able to go. Even people who are on public transportation or have cars and they can go from their house to their car. Imagine having to sleep out there.
Yes.
In that weather, and it's heart shattering.
Yes.
To think about it.
Yes, and I actually experienced that at a church, and it was actually a homeless person, and we were kind of talking to him, getting information, and what he said was, it gets bad in the spring when they have the spring thaw. And I said, well, what is a spring thaw? And he said, well, sometimes in the winter, some of the homeless people that's living out on the street, they end up freezing. And they don't find them until the weather starts changing. And that messed me up when I heard that.
I couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
Yes. I feel like that's life changing to hear something like that, because
yes. And so from that day on, that point, every winter, that's always in my mind, that these people living in tents, they can freeze to death.
Right.
You know, living in a tent, you know, and like I said, you can be going to work or standing at a bus stop and you know, and you're not out there long, but to be out there 24/7 is very possible to freeze.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
yes.
And that's so sad, and our hearts and prayers definitely go out to everyone who is facing that right now. Can you tell me what is an instance of something you did in the winter because of that? Like, what did you go out to do?
Well, we have did all kind of coat drives, had gloves, socks. You know, year after year, we still do that since we started, and we actually even drive around. Me and my husband, we drive around with bags of socks, gloves, hats in the wintertime in the car, along with toiletries. You know, and so
Hand warmers.
right,
Yeah, I
all
remember
that.
seeing the emergency
Yeah,
blankets and
yes,
things
yeah.
like that.
So we keep those in the car. So if we see somebody on the street and they're asking for money, we give them a few dollars. We keep those in the car also, and then we give them a bag. You know, just you know, it's a small gesture, but we just hope that it does help.
Yeah, and I'm sure it does because honestly, without people like Little Fannies and other organizations who do similar things to what we do, they may not have the resources
Yes.
to have a hat and gloves and things like that.
Yes.
And those type of things are needed,
Yes.
especially in this weather.
Yes.
So that's actually a small gesture that makes a big difference.
Yes.
Can you tell me how you feel like Little Fannies have expanded since the beginning, the very beginning of Little Fannies?
Well, we've expanded quite a bit over the years since 2016. We have started off with making lunch bags to give just to pass out at our own pockets, getting teams together with our friends and family to help us, and from there we started doing community outreach events. Then we started partnering with different organizations, and we adopted whole buildings and had community outreach events and provided Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners for them. Had clothes and toys and things bought for all the children in the building. It was a low income building, and because a lot of the grandparents were raising it, you know, taking care of their grandkids, so we just helped out. So that was an annual event. So we've evolved a lot. We have, and we got a lot of community partners now. We have corporate donors now. So we've expanded.
Yeah.
Yes, we have.
What is something, reflecting back to 2024, can you tell me something that you did in 2024 that was like a step forward for Little Fannies?
Well, yes, we got us an office.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we have our own office now, so we're very, very proud of that, and we've expanded our board, so we are very happy about that. Yes. Yes.
That's great. Yes. I was baiting her for that because that's something that's the way we evolved as well. And now we have an address. So yeah. But thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
coming and speaking with me today. So thank you guys for tuning in to the second episode of Little Fanny Speaks, where we will be coming to you every other Wednesday at 5 p.m. via Facebook and Instagram. And we plan to expand on our platforms as well, so keep an outlook for that. And thank you. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
All right. Bye.